Hey everybody, I'm Christine Barr, and this is Today Over Tea, where we have real conversations about things that matter. I'm a dancer, businesswoman, traveler, and host. And today we're creating an open-minded space with hopes of spreading awareness and education through similar experiences. I'm going to introduce you to some of the most passionate and knowledgeable people in my life. 2020 is the time to own who you are, reach your highest potential, and just love your life. Because let's face it, we're all going through something, but it's time to evolve as a society. We need to spread more kindness and love for each other and this planet. So let's start the conversation. So, Maryanne, I can't even tell you how excited I am to have you here or to be in your office. We brought the studio to you.
Exactly.
But just so you guys know, this is so exciting for me because I have been looking for alternative ways to, keep myself healthy. We talked about prevention, all these kinds of things. And so Maryanne has helped me find the right probiotic, talking about turmeric, all these different things that we're going to get into today. And she is someone that I found out does these amazing blood tests that helps us to look at our cells. So I did one, and it was a very amazing experience, and the education that you provide behind it on top of that is just completely priceless.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit, let's start first with just kind of a little bit of your background.
Right. First of all, I love that you mentioned education because education and awareness are key in anything, that we do. But yeah, I do often get asked, how did you get involved in this?
Right.
Showing people their actual blood sample on the, cellular level on a TV screen kind of thing. And like most of us, different things in our life brings us to where we are.
Totally.
And the same, is for me.
Yep.
Although I will tell you, I swear that it started at a young age for me because I could never swallow pills. And I think
That's me.
Oh my
totally.
goodness.
I always had to take it with applesauce.
Oh, exactly.
Constantly.
I would tell my mother, can't they give me it in liquid?
Right.
Even though I'm a teenager, I mean, it would take me, 2 hours to try to gag down a Tylenol or what have you. But
so
I truly think it was just my body saying, no, don't do this. This isn't, right
I believe that.
for you. But so over the years, I have done various things through, traditional allopathic Western medicine.
Sure.
But for us, the really big change came when our daughter came along 26 years ago. But she had some learning disabilities. And of course, as a mom, you're out there thinking, oh my gosh, I got to find, what's right for my child, this and that. I got introduced to different practitioners, etc. Thank the Lord I found some great therapies and such for her, but that was really the beginning of it, I think, for our family. So 20 plus years ago.
So you just kind of started doing your own research.
Yes.
To kind of find out how you can help your family the best.
Absolutely.
What made you feel that, because I feel like the average answer would be, well, I just, asked the school, they referred me to a doctor, and then we went from there. What made you feel like you didn't want to go that route?
Gosh, that's a good question. Again, I think it was just something inherent in me that knew that, no, this isn't right, So when our daughter was diagnosed, it turned out to be auditory processing disorder and visual processing disorder. And so, many of your listeners and stuff may have experienced similar things with their own children.
Sure.
And, that type of stuff. But her resource teacher at the school that she went to actually referred me to a chiropractor who'd be known as a functional medicine doctor today.
Okay.
And she said, if you're open to trying yet another,
Because that's what I feel happens with the more Western or functional medicine. You get referred to. It's kind of like being on customer service, It's like the next person.
Right.
And I feel like...
Transfer me to your manager.
Totally. Like you have to figure out, because they're trying to figure out what's wrong, and you don't know what's wrong either, so you're just saying, well, and then they find out something, it's not in their area, so now you have to go to this doctor. And I feel like any holistic or homeopath, person that I've come across, they can help you with anything. because it's completely natural. So whatever the problem may be, there is a natural solution for it.
Looking at the root cause,
Correct.
right? Which we're hearing more and
Because
more
you're not
about
specializing
nowadays.
in ear and nose, you're not specializing in cardiovascular or whatever that may be. You specialize in the body and understanding how to heal that naturally, in which case you can help anyone, which is completely like unheard of for most doctors. They always have to have a specialty, right?
That's a good point.
Okay.
That's a good point. Yeah. So we went to this chiropractor, and he has since retired, but again, today he'd be called a functional medicine doctor. And so we did everything he said, you know, and we saw some changes and that sort of thing. And then over the years, I ended up being an owner in a home care agency.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure you knew that.
I did not know that.
But that was a huge process in this evolution for me
Sure.
as well, because of course I saw, unfortunately, the poor diet, poor health care, tons of meds in our senior population.
Oh, it's everywhere. That's probably one of the worst places to see all of that.
Yeah.
You know?
And then I saw corruption side of that industry as well. And so I really couldn't go there anymore. And we sold out to our business partners. And then it was about a year later, I was just coasting, you know, happy going life.
Yeah.
And I had my blood done, a nutrition microscopy session. And for the first time saw my blood live. And even though I had tried to do, you know...
And how old were you? I'm sorry to cut you at this point.
Oh, goodness, how old? I don't know.
Sorry.
There.
but
But,
I guess
yeah.
the reason I asked that
Let's
is
just
because...
say it was about 5 years ago.
Because why is that the first time? Because you've been to many doctors, I'm sure, in your life. You were born in a hospital. Why is that the first time that we're seeing the inside? Doctors don't want to show us that.
And since you're bringing that up, I will tell you that here in the United States, what I do, nutrition microscopy, is strictly an educational, nutritional information tool.
Okay.
This is used as standard procedure in many countries. I have people from all over the world who come to see me, right?
Yeah.
Some of them are very familiar with us because where they're from, this is
required.
Standard practice. Yeah.
Wow.
But for me, it was an eye-opener to see my own blood live and realize, honestly, Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah.
I was much heavier. I was headed toward diabetes, you know, all of these things. So.
Were you feeling that on the outside?
Yes.
Or were you just, you were feeling something was wrong?
Yes.
And then when you saw this, it confirmed, okay, we need to make a change.
Right.
Wow.
And at that point, I was able to start working my 180 shift in the nutrition arena. Yeah.
That's incredible. What a neat story. Well, I have to tell you, I mean, I didn't even know that you had trouble swallowing pills. That's just hilarious how we did that. And when you, actually, I take this probiotic. This is the one you have me on, the Divine Nature. But there's multiple different, you know, brands, and we kind of tried a couple. You taught me how to muscle test, which I thought was so cool.
Yes.
I had my fiance do it. I was like, you have to try this.
Awesome.
But yeah, so I take this one, and it was really hard when you first gave it to me. As much as I know what it did and you explained it to me, I was like, taking a pill every day seems out of the ordinary for me. I don't take an Advil for a headache, you know, why would I take a pill every day? And now I'm wearing this shirt, right? She believed she could, you know, so she did. And I feel like this is my armor for the day.
Awesome.
I take it every day. I never miss a day. I take, you gave me some of the vitamin C as well, that like if, you know, we travel a lot, if something's happening, or I'm around,
boosting your immune system.
Boosting it. And we talked about before a little bit about preventative versus being preventive or reactive.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about the difference between that.
Well, I love that you brought up probiotics because they are the first line of defense in
as
immunity.
opposed to what doctors give, which is an antibiotic.
Exactly. And people just think about the literal translation of those two words, right? Pro, for, biotic, life. And the opposite is anti.
Right.
Against
life.
Life. Yeah. So probiotics is a buzzword a lot of people hear nowadays, right?
It's in yogurts and it's in, that's how a lot of people feel like they're getting it. As Greek yogurts and things like that.
Right. Unfortunately, a lot of those yogurts are heat processed, have sugar added. It's going to kill the probiotics. So I don't necessarily recommend only using that route to get probiotics.
But that's good because that's how people are hearing the marketing of the side of it, of like, let me do this to do that. But that's probably not the best choice.
Right.
Right.
So probiotics are the good bacteria in our body, right? We should have trillions of these good bacteria.
Sure.
But what people don't understand is probiotics' job, I call it the first line of defense and immunity, is to fight off the bad, but it's also to absorb the good nutrients. And, without a good probiotic lining, we're going to have problems.
Sure.
So, first line of defense and immunity.
It's awesome.
Probiotics.
I love it, and I have to say, I already was someone who didn't really get sick a lot, so people who come to you to do some of these tests, like you said, they may be feeling sluggish, they may be feeling like something's wrong, I don't know what to do. I wasn't necessarily maybe feeling that, but, and I've been an athlete most of my life, so I've been really blessed in that regard. However, I knew the food that I was experiencing in Europe, where I was from, and the food I was experiencing here. And if it's true what they say, we are what we eat, then that was scary for me, because I was like, how do I fix whatever's going on? And I don't know what's going on inside. Whether I can be perfectly healthy on the outside, who's to say? And you probably see a lot of that, right?
Yeah, that is a good analogy I use, is we can't always tell from looking at the outside what's going on the inside, right? People look at you and we're envious because she's tall and thin and a dancer and this and that, but you know what? My blood may look better than yours.
Totally.
Because we don't know what kind of vitamins. I wasn't taking any vitamins. I wasn't taking a probiotic. I was, now I've, started putting like turmeric in my pancakes, which again I think is kind of a buzz trendy thing, but it works.
I mean, it's been around for thousands of years, Again, let's go back to all these things that we were given to, make work for us.
But it's just research.
So we did this. And tell me a little bit, I mean, we were not specifically looking at my blood, but healthy blood versus unhealthy blood, what does that even look like?
Yeah, what does it look like?
A doctor doesn't tell us that. We don't know what that looks like.
Exactly. Yeah. What does it mean? Why is it important? And I think that most people truly do not understand what the purpose of our blood is. So this is how a healthy red blood cell sample would look like on my microscope. And red blood cells come out of our bone marrow. We would like them to come out nice and round, individual, dark in the center, meaning filled with hemoglobin. Okay, why? Because these are what I describe as our body's dump trucks, right? They're going to come in and deliver oxygen and nutrients to all the systems in our body.
Right.
They're also going to take out carbon dioxide and toxins. So we absolutely have to have these healthy. And this is what I love about nutrition microscopy, right? Is we can get a preview. We can see what's going on. You know how many people come to me and say, I feel like this, that, and the other, and I've been to every doctor, and I've had all these tests, and they say there's nothing wrong. And
That's
I'm like,
the worst.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I know so many people that have been to so many doctors for anything, whether it be a surgery or this or that, and they don't know what's happening.
And
they're just as frustrated, right?
I'm not a doctor. I don't diagnose. I look at everything from a nutritional standpoint.
And from the inside out.
Yes.
And that's huge, because you're going to the source, I feel. And for them, whether they do an x-ray or an MRI or whatever it is to look on the inside, I just don't feel like it's deep enough. You know what I mean? It's like those movies that go deep into, who you are. Like, it's just not deep enough. And what you showed me was something that I felt like I didn't have any questions after that. I mean, well, no, I take that back. I had 20 new questions.
Right.
But I didn't have any questions of like, can we look deeper? Because we were looking the deepest that we could go, and you were showing me what my body was doing, and the circulation and the blood flow and all of that stuff, which is what's keeping your body running.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, that was huge for
Keeping
me.
it running or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So show us what maybe unhealthy blood.
Right. So I'll just show you a little scenario here of an actual client case.
Okay,
In fact, he was one of my early on clients, and I always ask people to come to the appointment having drank plenty of water, but not have eaten, right? So I can see if there's digestive issues or what. So this gentleman, I'll just give you a little background.
Yeah.
He's in his mid-60s. He's tall. He's thin. He eats lean. He eats green. He is so well aware of what to look for in food and supplement ingredients. But guess how he came in? Tired, lethargic, dragging, as white as a piece of paper, and I'm like, what is going on? Because I'm looking at what he's eating. Again, I base everything on nutrition basis, and listening to what he's saying, it's not adding up. So it's like, let's check out what the blood looks like.
Oh, wow.
This was his blood. Right, nothing like this.
So, yeah, this looks like blood, and this looks like an impressionist painting.
Yes, people often describe it as that.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I would never think that's blood.
the technical term is erythrocyte, meaning
Okay.
red blood cell aggregation, or the slang term, you'll like this one, blood sludge. Okay?
Makes sense.
Because think about it. These cells are what's supposed to be delivering oxygen and nutrients. How well can they do their job?
Well, it doesn't look like they're doing anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Where are they going? What are they doing? Yeah.
How hard is this guy's heart having to work to pump this through?
Right.
Problem, right?
Yeah.
And then it gets to the filtering process, liver, kidneys, everything's just backing up.
So when you saw this, you were like, okay, now I understand what's happening a little bit.
When I saw this, honestly, the first thing I said is, did you drink water? Right?
Oh,
Because this
okay.
could actually be a state of dehydration.
Interesting.
So he said, yeah, I've been drinking plenty of water. Oh, speaking of which.
That's right. We should be
We better
drinking
grab a
this.
sip.
That's it.
Real quick segue. Tell
yeah.
me what you did to my water. You just put some vitamin C droplets in it.
I put some essential oils
essential
in her
oils.
water. Some, I think it was tangerine. Yep,
It's
to
so
give her
good.
a little vitamin C boost and a
Which
little,
is good because
you
it's
know,
winter time and I can always use
citrusy
the boost.
flavor. Absolutely, yeah. If you don't like
Awesome.
plain water, people, put a little lemon,
Love it.
lime, essential oil drops. You know,
Yeah. Just that extra.
perk it up.
That extra shield for the day. Yeah.
Double benefit.
Double benefit.
I love
Absolutely.
it. Yeah. So this guy had been drinking plenty of water, but guess what I handed him? A bottle of water. I said, I have to rule out dehydration.
Right.
Even after a bottle of water, this is what his cells look like.
So you knew it wasn't that. Yeah.
So then we know it's a digestion problem
Yeah.
and a filtering problem.
Yeah.
So basically his food is not breaking down at all. And this is where what you were saying earlier comes in, right?
Sure.
The outside, what he's eating, he's tall, he's thin, doesn't
He
match
looks great.
on the
It doesn't
inside.
match.
Right.
So a doctor would look at him and be like, he would go in and say, well, I'm tired.
No,
Right?
they might run some venous blood draw tests, send off to lab to be dyed, killed,
Okay.
spun, that type of thing. They're not typically looking at digestion and enzyme levels and that sort of thing
Right.
in that.
They're looking at the blood, maybe if they take a blood sample.
Right, they're given some quantitative numbers. So I describe a CBC that you would have done,
Sure.
you know, at your doctor's office as a quantitative, right? You get a list of
Okay.
numbers back. I describe this as qualitative. We're looking at the actual quality of
Interesting.
the cells
Yeah.
and what they're able to do or not. So this guy ended up needing to use digestive enzymes when he's eating. That's a whole nother segment we can do on enzymes
Sure.
alone. But yeah, had him use a couple different types of enzymes here to get his food to break down and work for him. So also had him use some liver, kidney, herbal support, milk thistle, ginger, barber
Okay.
root, dandelion. I just have it in an encapsulated formula.
Oh, okay.
Just to kind of see where we could go, what we could do with those changes.
Sure.
So this was his blood 30 days later.
Wow,
So
okay.
we definitely saw improvement.
Huge difference.
Yes,
Yeah.
Still have a little work to do, right? Still has some stickiness here.
Yep.
But what I really want you to notice here is how the cells are not dark in the center, they're white in the center.
Which means what? There's no hemoglobin in it.
Exactly. What does hemoglobin deliver?
Oxygen.
Exactly.
Got it.
So this is going to explain further, right, while he's feeling not
And what makes
so
them
well.
sticky? Why are they sticking
Mhm.
together?
That's protein digestion issue.
Okay.
So anyway, iron assimilation. So of course I'm encouraging him to eat more dark leafy greens, etc. Right? You're
Sure.
going to feel even better. We'll continue to work on the stickiness through enzymes.
Okay.
Now notice here in the plasma,
Mhm.
we have all these little dots. These are undigested fats. This all just continues to come down to his digestive problems, right? Not breaking foods down, etc. It is such a simple solution, in my opinion,
Right.
you know, to tweak these through enzyme supplementation. All right, so 30 days later, he comes back, here's his blood. I'm like, okay,
Interesting.
great. And the really interesting thing on this is when he arrived for this appointment, he had color to him. His physical presentation was so much better. I was like, oh.
Because that was going to be my question.
Let's take
How
a
is
look.
he looking now? Like, you know, is he have more energy? Is he
Exactly. Simply by getting these separated alone, he's automatically going to have more oxygen.
Totally.
And energy.
Well, now that blood's going through, I mean, there's circulation happening.
Yeah.
Like, things are able to transport.
What is this?
Yeah, that's another element of the blood. We have red blood cells and,
White.
yep, white
Those are
blood
the white
cells.
ones. Okay.
The other element of the blood is the plasma, right? We want this plasma to be nice and clear so the heart can pump these cells through and those cells can do their job. The other element of the blood is platelets, which we typically don't see in a sample like this unless they're coming together in a clotting type formation.
And when you're in high school, right, you learn about this stuff. But
this totally is not rocket science.
The word platelets, right? I learned about that in school. That's definitely something I learned, there. But I'm thinking, what did they really teach us? You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like I was given information on how to better myself from the inside out health-wise.
We know the scientific term.
We know the scientific term. We know what it does. We use flashcards to say platelets do this and this does this and that. But how do I apply that knowledge? I think that's where I'm really loving, like, just connecting with you is just like I'm hearing a lot of things that I've heard and that I'm sure a lot of people have heard, but they don't know how do I use that information to apply it to my health and make a complete change and not feel so tired and not feel whatever their issue is. And that's where I feel like the doctors are kind of, there's a disconnect for me of where I'm not getting that information that I'm looking for, I mean, of course. And not to, like I said, we're not here to bash Western medicine by any means. I just feel like people should be doing more of their own research. You know what I'm saying? To get more information, because everybody's different, and I don't believe that one person, because they have a medical degree, can say, this is what you need. And a lot of people are starting to feel more and more like that.
I think so, yeah.
What I tell people is do your own research, right? Yep. If you're being suggested to take a med, research the ingredients in it.
Totally.
And, of course, read the side effect booklet, right?
Which is usually...
It's like, okay.
I love how you do that.
And then you decide if it makes sense to you, right? I'll never be the one to tell you to take it or not, or to get off this or get off that.
Totally.
Because, again, I'm not a doctor. I don't diagnose. If I'm in an accident and my arm gets cut off, I want to be going to, the emergency room.
Sure.
And that's not to say that we still don't go to regular doctors if something's seriously wrong, but I do think what this is doing is this is helping us to not need to go to those serious doctors, because serious things are not happening to us as often. We were just, even the girl that we saw, the other night that says she has a stomach bug, Noah was looking at me and going, how do people get things like that? He's probably never had one in his whole life. How many people that are watching right now have had a stomach bug? Whatever they may be called, the flu, 24-hour thing, whatever. I agree. When you don't get those things, you wonder, how are people getting these things, right? And I think it starts at the cell level.
At the cellular level.
Because you have to keep that healthy all the time and not just have a temporary fix for an antibiotic or, I got sick and there's a solution for that. Well, there's a short-term solution for that, but the long-term solution is more of keeping yourself healthy all year round.
Right. Which is what you kind of mentioned in the beginning about being proactive. Right? We're
Probiotic.
being proactive.
Right.
As soon as we start to feel something coming on, like I have a little sniffle right now, you can be assured I've been boosting my immune system. Oh, okay. Totally. How do you do that? I tell people, I just look at the ingredients on here and I'm like, echinacea, garlic, astragalus, elderberry, licorice, turmeric, olive leaf, shiitake mushroom, maitake mushroom, golden seal, lemon balm, green tea leaf, oregano, basil, anise.
All sounds like
that's
natural
how
plants.
I do it. You know?
Right.
So,
totally.
Anyway, so proactive, right? As soon as you start feeling something, or like you said, you take probiotics every single day. I feel like every American should, because we have so much coming in that's killing off the good bacteria.
Right. We were talking about one of my friends who says he hasn't been sick in 13 years, and he was doing some kind of, thing, and all of his friends were like, why are you doing this? You're never sick. And he's like, this is why. Because I am being proactive to make sure that I stay in this condition. As you get older, obviously things are going to change, environment, all of that stuff.
Yes.
All of that.
Perfect.
Who knows where you're going to, what's going to happen.
Environment. I love that, because it goes right into what's happening on this screen here. White blood cell, beautiful. We need those, right? His red cells, right? He still has the hemoglobin problem. Okay, well, I can suggest a good iron supplement.
I was just going to say an iron supplement. Yeah.
But notice his cells are not round. Remember what I said? They needed to come out round. See how these are wavy edged?
Right.
When you said environment, typically if somebody's cells look like this, the
Yeah.
first thing I'm asking them is, have you had x-rays lately, right?
Interesting.
What kind of radiation have you been around?
Oh, no.
Are you
No.
carrying one of these on your body all the time?
All the time, yeah.
You know? Is your Wi-Fi router next to you? Do you travel a lot and go through the airport scanner? You know, because this
Wow.
type of wavy edge damage is called free radical damage. And I think it's a word that a lot of people have heard. I just don't think they understand how
Or
they
what
get
it
it.
is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Now, you were talking about, going to the doctor or not, whatever. This guy, I will tell you, does everything naturally. He probably hasn't been to a doctor in 30 plus years, But, so when I see his wavy edge cells, and I had actually even noticed them here,
Yeah.
right? But I waited till this appointment to address them with him. So I'm asking him,
And what did he say?
have you had x-rays lately, right? Have you had dental x-rays? People don't think about that. Women who have mammograms, it's like, oh, they don't understand.
Because all of
they're
this
being
stuff is
radiated.
required. So how do you get around that?
Yeah.
Because I recently, since we started talking, every time I switch dentists or every 6 months, we got to do more x-rays. I'm
Yeah.
like, don't you know what my teeth look like at this point?
Right.
But everything changes all
Yeah.
the time. So then, growing up, when you're trained at the age of whatever the first age you go to see a dentist,
You just assume that's the way it's
and
done.
that's the way it's done. Your parents tell you this is what you do,
Right.
and we go do it. But I'm like, okay, but like you said, the cell phone. There's certain things that we're going through an airport. You can ask to be pat down instead of going through a security
because you
thing.
and Noelle travel quite a bit.
We travel all the
and,
time.
I think we've even had that discussion
We
before
have.
an appointment of your own.
Yeah, and you said, maybe every once in a while you want to try to be pat down instead,
Right.
if that's the case. But some of those things, you just want to limit the amount of radiation because you're going to have some of it regardless.
Yes, limit it. Use some protection devices on them.
Yeah, I just put one on my phone that
Beautiful.
has the what is it?
EMF,
The EMF
protection.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah. So this guy, he owns a heating and air conditioning company. So guess what he's around every day?
He's around. Radiation? No.
Well, yes, because high electricity,
Okay.
right, to get the air conditioning systems and such running, absolutely. What do they put in, like maybe in your car?
Oh, Freon.
Exactly.
Freon.
Yes,
Yes,
Freon,
yes,
right,
yes,
total
yes.
chemicals, this type of thing.
Right.
So he's around this stuff on a daily basis. Well, how are we going to protect him from it? This is his livelihood. Is he going to sell his business?
Well, not anytime soon.
Exactly.
Right.
But we have got to fix his cells, right? So that they will not be wavy edge, because when that cell wall gets compromised, then the bad can start to get in, and
Totally.
then it just ends up being, one cascading effect after another. So, what will help and shape up free radical damage? Again, it's a word that everybody knows. You may not realize it.
Yeah.
And it's antioxidants.
Hmm.
So again,
Yeah.
we're talking about foods rich in antioxidants to help shape these cells up. I actually have a fruit and veggie product that I have anybody with cell damage, preferably use, because one scoop of it, they're getting.
That's the dietary thing that you gave me? Is that the same thing?
Was it this?
Let me see. No, mine came in a bag.
Okay.
But it was fruit and
I
veggie
carry,
something.
yeah, I carry two different brands.
So what I've started doing,
Mhm.
that's funny that you say that, and the reason we started doing that was,
You probably had some wavy edge cells.
yeah,
Probably
so
had some free
I
radical damage.
take a
Mhm.
scoop of that and I put it in pancakes.
Yes. Beautiful.
You can put anything in pancakes, by the way, people. Like anything.
Listen to her.
Turmeric.
Turmeric, fruit and veggie
I put chia
essentials.
seeds and flaxseed, and I make a pancake
Beautiful.
that's like basically a superfood.
Exactly.
And it
That is
tastes
beautiful.
fine. Like, you get, I put some
Mhm.
chocolate chips in there or whatever.
Right.
And if I have a different pancake mix than
Mhm.
just a regular, you don't even taste this stuff. And
Beautiful.
And you already know that it's in there and you're getting it.
Exactly.
That's just the coolest.
Right.
For me, I was
Mhm.
like, that's amazing. Or a lot of people put these
Yeah.
in a protein shake.
Exactly.
Or they put it in like a, smoothie.
Perfect. This is the fastest thing I can get the free radical damage shaped up with, honestly, because the antioxidant rating in this is 12,000. The ORAC, it's an antioxidant rating count. But yeah, the ORAC is 12,000, and you're about to see, drum roll please.
Wow.
This was his blood another 30 days later.
That's incredible.
So-
after adding the fruit
this, yes, I will
and
tell
still
you,
doing
and
the
the
other things.
iron,
Sure.
and the digestive enzymes. Yep.
That's incredible.
Yep. So
I mean, these are starting to look like the first one you showed us, which wasn't his blood, but it was a healthy blood.
And as a reminder, we have a white blood cell here.
Yep.
Red blood cells are nice and round now, no wavy edges. Look how dark the centers are, right? So
that's incredible.
In 90 days, I'm this guy's new best friend.
Right.
You know? I mean,
you're my best friend.
I see him like once a year now or whatever.
So
Again, he and his wife do everything naturally and such, and
which he kind of was already doing in the first place. But but now he's understanding how to fix it. I think that's the biggest thing is that, you know, the trendy things like, oh, eat more plants, do, you know, take a vitamin, take a probiotic, whatever. That's like surface level of people saying, well, I'm healthy because I do all these things that the media told me to do. But here, he can actually look at this and come to you even once a month and be like, cool, how's everything going? And you can change it within a matter of 30 days.
Yes. And
that's huge.
That's a beautiful thing about the science of this, first of all. But secondly, again, I just use it as a total educational tool, right? These guys, red blood cells, regenerate every 120 days. So what I tell people is with every bite you eat, with every lotion, shampoo, toxic-free or otherwise, that we're putting in and on us, we are making a conscious decision to get these to come out healthier again the next time. Or not.
True.
Or not.
Right. Or not.
So I want to talk real quick. You've got all of this amazing food and green up here. You know, super trendy now. Netflix special, game changers, plant-based diets. Since we're talking about blood, when you see the clear blood versus the cloudy blood for, you know, when he was eating meat and not eating meat. For those of you who haven't watched the Game Changers on Netflix, highly recommended. Whether you're looking to make a change or not, it is just so mind-boggling. Like, it's not just informative, it's like, whoa.
There's a lot of programs out there now, which I really like.
So cool.
And again, just mind-opening, right?
Absolutely.
I'm personally am not a vegan. I'm an O blood type. I tend to do better with some animal product. But
interesting.
Being that you bring up food.
Yeah, because did you watch it? Or you didn't watch that specific one?
I don't think I've seen Game Changers. I've seen many others.
Okay.
I'm not sure I've seen Game Changers.
What is your take maybe on the plant-based diet versus, you know, because they started talking about how gorillas, you know, everyone's like, they want to be strong, but, you know, how do you build muscle without protein? Well, animal protein versus plant protein, it's different. It's still protein. But gorillas don't eat meat, they eat plants. Dinosaurs ate plants. You know, all of these, and then they show you the strongest man in the world, he's vegan. They show you these NFL players, they're vegan. You know, so then they break it down of like what they're eating and how that's changed their game playing, how that's changed their, you know what I mean? That's kind of what the whole documentary is about. What is your take on, I personally want to go pescatarian. And I love fish and sushi. I can't give that up. But as far as meat, I do feel like when I was starting to work out a lot and try to gain some muscle, I was trying to eat more and more meat, and I was feeling more and more tired.
Right. That's a fallacy, right? They tell us you got to eat more protein, you got to eat more meat, you got to do this, you got to do that. There's some bodybuilders and such I work with, and I'll, you know, won't go against what their trainer and nutritionist is telling them. But what I'm going to do is help them make it work in their blood.
Totally.
Right? I see a lot of athletes who are trying to put in the right things, eat all those things they're being told, but their cells are sticky and all of this, and it's like, oh my goodness, they're spending so much money on all this food that's not even working for them. And most people need to eat more fruits and vegetables, right?
Anyway,
when I'm looking at what they're eating, the majority of your plate should be vegetables and some fruit. A quarter of it, a healthy protein, whether you're vegan or otherwise. And then the other quarter, like a healthy grain. But of course, our food sources are so problematic.
That's a whole other conversation itself, because again, we know what exists, you know, outside of the United States, and you know, with the supply and the demand, plus, you know, how they're raising, because they do show you the agricultural side in the documentary of how much resources it takes just to feed the product that then is being, you know, produced to feed America. And that, you know, is a lot. Everyone's like, well, why am I eating the animal, why don't I just go straight to what the animal's eating, which is plants? You know what I mean? Or grains or whatever that may be. So that's kind of where they're showing you. And again, it's not a way to convince or pass judgment on anyone. I'm still very much eating meat.
Because then I'll have vegans come to me and it's like, I'm so tired, I just can't do this or that, I just miss my meat and this and that. And I'm thinking, well, listen to your body.
Then maybe just eat
you
some.
know?
Yeah.
Right.
And even
you
if we
might
went
need
once
to have a
week,
nice little grass-fed, something.
Totally, why not?
Don't beat yourself up is my big thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I read this, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Let's see what's going on and tweak it from there.
So many people think they have to change everything, and if we learned anything in science class in high school, it's if you change all the variables, you don't know what worked.
Yeah,
right?
Great
so,
analogy.
Right? So if I start taking a probiotic, maybe just do that. Maybe just try to get some more sleep. Maybe just try to drink some more water.
Exactly. For some people, that's where
oh my
it
God,
starts.
They don't drink enough water.
Right.
They're drinking coffee. They're drinking alcohol. They're drinking teas.
All those things are so dehydrating.
Right.
Yes.
So,
not to mention hard on the adrenals, etc. So
So they're not actually getting water.
Right.
And that's and then they ask why they're dehydrated, and it's like, well, what are you really drinking?
Exactly.
How much do you drink water?
Typically, everybody at their first appointment, I'm going to tell them to start your day with 16 ounces of water with half a squeezed lemon or lime in it. Interestingly enough, of course, in my household, we get no notice blood checks. So I've been eating a little too many sweets over the holiday time frame, and I said, I've got to check my blood.
Sugar.
And I'm like, calling my husband in, calling my son in, let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
Of course, I do supplement heavily with enzymes when I'm eating that type of thing.
Okay, yeah.
So that it does break down, and I was fortunate to see the results in my own blood, although I tell people enzymes don't give you carte blanche to eat anything you want.
That's it.
But anyway, my son, who had water, I took his blood. This is a drop of blood through a finger prick.
Yeah, it was nothing. I don't like needles
this
either,
is not
but
a venous blood draw or anything like
No,
that.
it's so simple.
I just have
for
the
those
person,
who are scared.
Yeah. I just have the
deal.
person poke it themselves. I'm ready there with the slide.
Yeah, she doesn't need very much
get
to
it on
see
there.
this much.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing.
I mean, literally, you have millions, if not a billion cells in this one drop of blood. So I look at his blood and I'm like, did you drink water this morning? Yeah, I had a 16-ounce glass. And I was like, oh man, his cells were really sticky. Almost like this guy's.
Wow, that bad.
And I said, hey, do me a favor. I said, did you put lime in it? Yes. Okay. Yeah. I mean, he's 17, right? I'm teaching him to be able to go off to college.
Right.
Anyway, so I said, do me a favor, go drink another glass. So he did. Every cell separate and flowing, right?
Just
this
from a
is
glass
what
of water.
hydration will do for you. So in his case, I said, hey, I think you need to be drinking 32 ounces of water to get you started in the morning, right? A good reference is just drink half your body weight in ounces a day. So if you weigh 120 pounds, drink 60 ounces a day. If you weigh 200 pounds, drink 100 ounces a day. Wow. That does not account for if you're working out, if you're out in the heat,
right?
In the summer
This is
in
just
Vegas,
maintaining.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But for him, literally took 32 ounces to get his blood moving. Now, how would anybody ever know that?
They wouldn't.
Right.
And what kind of doctor would even say something like that to you? Like, I wouldn't even know what question to ask him for him to give me an answer like that.
I did a doctor's blood last year that looked about like this.
Wow.
And I said, hey, have you been drinking water? Well, I've had coffee and I've had this and that.
That's
and I'm like,
they start listing on.
I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And this is an MD who has never seen something like this. And I'm like, you need to be drinking water. And for every cup of coffee you have, here's a tip for you guys, put a pinch of baking soda in it, just a pinch like this between the thumb and forefinger to neutralize the acidity in it.
Wow.
But because it's very dehydrating, for every cup of coffee you drink, make sure you're drinking a cup of water. And that's over and above those minimum ounces I mentioned.
Right.
When we both came in here, she's like, oh, I got a little sniffle, so I'm preventing something right now. And I've been recently around, some coworkers and different people that have been sick. But I've been doing really great, thanks to you. Taking my probiotics, doing the turmeric. I've been taking even some droplets of colloidal silver. We were talking about that. And I just kind of have a basket in the kitchen that's all my superfoods and all my stuff that just I go in there. And it becomes my daily, like, what am I going to take today kind of thing, just as I'm feeling. What is the first thing you do when you start to feel, you know, before it hits you, maybe 3 days later.
Exactly.
Like a normal person would.
Yes.
The first thing that you're going to do when you start to feel a little sniffly or you wake up and you just, something's a little off, what's the first thing you do?
For me, it's always, of course, probiotics.
Okay.
All right. Start boosting my immune system with all those ingredients I read off on the immune booster.
Yep.
And you mentioned colloidal silver.
Yeah.
I use it's called Sirius silver. I describe this as colloidal silver on steroids because this is filled with so many additional healing frequencies.
Nice.
So those are all the things that I just immediately start upping the ante on.
That's awesome.
I'll add the essential oil drops, you know, in my water.
Sure.
I'll maybe use some on my feet, my chest, diffuse, that type of thing as well.
That's it.
I mean, hit everything and hit it hard. Go to your basket.
But so many people are not taught even small little tactics like that. So for you to show me something that was so physical, muscle testing, right? And I came into her office that day completely stressed out about something. You know, I was in a hurry. I was picking up my probiotics, and she's like, you know what? I was telling her, you know, I always tell her a couple things that are going on wrong. And she goes, you know what? Let's try something really quick. She goes, I want you to clear your head. And the first thing I'm thinking is, good luck with that.
How am I going to do that?
Yeah, clearing my head is not the easiest thing to do. I am a thinker. I'm very much in my head. I'm a Libra. Yeah, it's
Constantly
insane.
going.
So I'm like, great, you know what? Let's try this because I'm always very open to this, but I was also in a hurry. And she taught me how to muscle test, and I was like, oh my gosh, this may not work, you know, but I'm going to try. And sure enough, like she was like, just ask your body, you know, what you want.
I just want to preface that with why we're doing it.
Right.
And first of all, we're energetic beings, right?
Sure.
We all have energy, and the way I try to explain it to people so they don't think this is just some, you know, woo-woo kooky thing.
Well, because it feels that way a little bit at the beginning.
Right. Is that everything has an energy, right?
Sure.
We've all been around someone where we felt like, man, I really like her. I really clicked with her, right?
Then a good energy, good vibe.
Yes. And then we've also been around the opposite.
Oh, totally.
Right? Like, ooh, I don't get a good vibe. That's an energetic or frequency vibration that is going on. Do you think this has frequencies in it?
Of course. Everything does.
Absolutely. Everything does, right? Even a piece of paper is totally molecular, right?
True.
So usually when I describe it, the muscle testing as that, you know, good vibe, bad vibe, people have more of an understanding.
Gotcha.
So yeah, what we're doing is asking our body if this is something that's beneficial for us. And so I typically start out by having them clear their mind, right?
Totally. Well, because you want to focus in that moment. It does not take very long, you know, and the like you said, the more you practice it, the better you are at it. Right. Yeah. Also, I like being in tune with my body. I like knowing what's happening. And when people say, oh, I'm sick and I have a cough, and they don't know why they have the cough, and I'm like, doesn't that frustrate you? That you don't know why?
And the other thing that came to my mind is, you know, people will say, oh, I should have never done that. I should have never done that. I should have listened to myself. I knew there was something that told me. Okay, stop and listen.
People say that.
Stop
that's true.
and listen.
But they're ignoring it because what? Society, environment,
whatever
the case may be. They don't have time.
You know, your health is really important, and I think if people listen to what they call that gut feeling, right, a little bit more. And then they just research and do something. You have no excuse anymore. You have Google, you have YouTube, you have everything online.
That's another thing that drives me crazy, you guys. We live in the information age.
It's so
How many people are not looking up information and researching?
Right.
You know, it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling to me.
I think the biggest thing right now is 2020. It's a new decade. It's a new start. It's a new year. And I think the best advice that, you know, we can give you right now is pick one thing, you know, physically, mentally, whatever that's happening in your body, health, that you don't like and you want to change, and do all the research you can to figure out how that, because what I explain to people is too, just like energy, what you put out comes back to you. And so if you are searching for an answer of why am I so tired? Right? It doesn't matter what the reason is. Why am I so tired? And you put that out there, and you start talking to people, and that person, oh, I should connect you with so-and-so. Oh, this and that. that person is going to find you.
Right.
You don't even have to worry about it. You know, but if you're constantly thinking that stuff doesn't work, or you're not looking for an answer, you're like, whatever, I'll just try to get more sleep this year, whatever, then that person and that energy is never going to find you. And of course you're not going to find the answer.
I'm almost hesitant to even share this story because it could kind of end this on a little bit of a downer.
Oh.
But I will. A little over a year ago, a friend of mine reached out to me via Facebook. We had childhood friends. I mean, young, grade school. And we had connected over Facebook, you know, just kind of followed each other, not real major conversations or anything. And she sent me a message saying, Maryanne, I just want to let you know that I have bile duct cancer. So, of course, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Right.
No, you know, I assume you're reaching out to me because you know I have a wellness business. Know that there is much you can do to support your liver. And I gave her some websites, none of mine, nothing coming from me, just these great resources, right?
Yeah.
And she wrote back and said, no, I'm telling you because it's terminal, there's no cure, and I don't want you to find out one day on my Facebook page that I passed away. So I was like, oh, okay. So I kind of, you know, easily went back and forth with her over time and, you know, tried to plant a few seeds over time. But I would watch her on Facebook, and what was she eating? Total garbage food. One of her last messages to me was, yeah, they tried to bring me a milkshake, and I didn't even want that. And of course, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, sugar feeds cancer.
Sugar feeds cancer. That's the biggest
Till
one.
the bitter end, you were feeding the disease. But honestly, the bitter end came 8 months prior when she sent me that message saying, no, it's terminal, there's no cure.
When she could still make a change.
And she had already made the decision
Right.
that it was terminal.
Right.
And,
So I think
you know,
what that that's not a downer. I actually think what that comes back to is how powerful your mind is. That in order to fix all of this stuff, you know what I mean? This is great. You can show them themselves. They can see what's going on, and they can get way more information than they've ever gotten in their whole, you know, childhood and adult life. But they have to want that. And what do we say? You can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped.
Exactly.
And so if someone is reaching out to you, if you're even seeing this video, how did you see it? Are you connected with Noelle, myself, Maryanne, someone that's a part of this podcast? Did someone send you this link? Because I'm encouraging everyone to send these links to someone that you think may be benefiting from this.
Beautiful.
How did this come to you? And just listen to it. You know what I'm saying? And just maybe take into consideration, maybe I need to make a change. And it may not even need to be a big change. Look at all the things you showed us today that showed how the littlest thing, a scoop of this, could make the biggest difference in ourselves.
Another glass of water.
Another glass of water. The whole point of this really is, again, our hashtag is to start the conversation. And I think a lot of people they're just listening to what information that has already been given to them, and they're not looking for new information. So there's no conversation being had. They're just like, I have a cold, I go to the doctor, I get an antibiotic. They're not saying that there could be 3 other options that could make them feel a little bit better,
Or
at
even
the end.
understanding how the antibiotic works.
That too.
And then,
That
you know,
too. They just assume
creating a vicious cycle,
That's it.
problematic cycle.
And you
for
end up on a
them.
hamster wheel.
And then every December, you know, it's winter and it's cold and you get sick. And it's like clockwork. And after year after year after year, I mean, aren't you sick of that? Like, I would think, hello, like, definition of insanity, right? That doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
And honestly, when I show people their sample, I tell them, I say, look, we don't know what we don't know. But now you're seeing it, and now you know. But it is up to you to take the next right step.
Totally.
I can't want it for you more than you want. Just like this says here, the better the nutrition, the better the blood, the better the performance.
Yeah, it's just being aware. Make changes that you want to make changes. But again, find that one thing in 2020 that you want to change. And spend even 6 months of that year being like, I'm going to focus solely on this and see if I can find someone that can help me with this. You know? I mean, I don't think that's too much to ask for yourself and your health.
Amen.
Right? You have one body.
Right.
You know?
One step at a time, one change at a time. Most people who try to do the 180 are not successful, so I love what Christine's saying.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, that means a lot coming from you, because I highly respect who you are and what you do here.
So yeah, thank you for being here and talking,
Oh, my
taking
pleasure.
the time out of your day. I always say when I'm with you and I get all this information. I wish I could share it with the world, and now I can.
Aw.
Well, at least some of it, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, but for those of you who want to know even more, want to get your blood tested, want to know, ask Maryanne your personal questions about your health, because everyone's different. We are going to put links at the bottom.
Honestly, here's my challenge to everybody.
Yeah.
Just eat real food. If it grows on a plant, like all these foods up here,
Yeah.
you can eat it. If it's manufactured, processed, preserved, packaged in a manufacturing plant,
Try to
please
avoid.
don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
Yep.